G'day everybody, and welcome to a bit of a creative mode build stream where I'm gonna try... My main idea behind this was to maybe build something for the Keen screenshot competition, the war production one, but then I had an idea that even if what I build doesn't work for that, I can totally build something to work as a stream weight screen. So kind of like the ones that I've got at the moment, which is the... hang on, I can just quickly show you. This one. Like that sort of thing. Something that's got heaps of ridiculous subgrids in it, as you can see with what's in front of me. I was messing around the other day and trying to come up with a way to create a conveyor belt. My idea was to have something like a mech or a tank being moved along that conveyor belt with different parts being added to it and have a few fancy tricky sparks going off whenever things get stuck to it, and then having that move to the next station, more stuff gets added to it, that sort of thing, so that what you see in the distance is this progressive construction of something like that, which I thought could also work if I can get that functional, like I'd like to. It could also work really well for a be right back, because I could construct something that says be right back, or something along those lines, stream starting soon, that sort of thing. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to have some more options for those videos rather than just always using the same two, even though I really like those two. Before I get distracted though, one second. Thanks Zero Nut, Trindle Shadowmane, Hirsch, Ogre, Dr. Kartoffelsalat, Mr. Rocketbox, Straight on Marks, Own Galaxy, and Gelnak. For you all the subs and the bits before I even started streaming. So yes, this could be used as a tank track. The trouble is something like this doesn't work particularly well as a tank track because you don't get much friction between this armor surface and the bottom. But this is kind of... where's my thing? This is prototype number 1. Which, as you can see, runs okay, but with how much it's going up and down in the middle, not really ideal for a conveyor belt. You kind of want the conveyor belt to sit nice and flat. You want it to build... you want it to not do what this is doing. So, with some inspiration from... I think they're kind of like self-supporting chains or something, I improved on it. Halved the number of hinges, because I think part of the problem was having a double hinge between each segment. Went with a single hinge, and now I have this, which does not sag anywhere near as much. Even running at quite high speed. You can see there's a little bit of wobble, but it's pretty good. I could add extra supports in the middle, but I wanted to see what I could do without that. And with just tensioning the chain and... let's... I think if I tension this out anymore, it kind of starts to break. Yeah. As you can see, now with higher tension, it's a little unhappy. Still works, though. Hey, thanks so much. Dr. Potato Salad for the gift subs. Thanks so much, man. But yeah, so I wanted to try and keep improving on this design and see what I could do in terms of making it nice and stable. Hey Tex, not sure what that last word was meant to be. Thanks, Farrakane. Thanks. Melga Sock. Oh, that might be the most splitsy thing I've seen in a while. Yeah, Tex. that's one way to put it. So what I did to improve this one is, one, this is a larger round object for a larger roller, I guess, where these were just 3x3 wheels, so it kind of sits a bit nicer against this larger roller. I've also added a nicer thing to keep it from slipping off, because that's why these chains might be on the ground. Because I tried without anything to keep it on, and it kind of slipped off. Whoops. Thanks, XE6, and thanks again, Dr. Kartoffelsalat, for the gift subs. Blast door blocks would not help here. So, one thing I wanted to try to see whether it would make a difference is whether having a taller block up here. So what's happening as this chain comes round is these half blocks are pushing against each other. That's what stops it from bowing down under gravity. It's those blocks that are restricting it. So if this were thicker, say with a full armor block, is that going to be enough to reduce that further? Or am I going to have to come up with a different chain link design that's more interlocking to prevent it? Or am I just going to end up with Clang doing that? I'm honestly not sure. Because that doesn't seem happy right now. This seems really unhappy as I add these. It's okay now. I wonder if it'll be noticeably different. I'll do half of the chain, and that way when we get to the other side, it'll give us a bit of an idea as it spins through which side's bowing less. Or if there's really any notable difference. Now, I think that jiggle can be reduced by returning this piston back a bit. Because I was kind of stressing out the hinges just then. You want a little bit of slack here. Thanks, Melon Pie. So let's try this on. It's still jiggling a bit. I don't know, can you... Is it really that different with the extra chunks? It's kind of flopping up. I'm kind of trying to measure it off that tree that's just behind, except that's not going to work for the other ones. Kind of looks about the same to me. Maybe a tiny bit better with the fatter links. Because I tried with this one using some of the plates to try to kind of lock it down, but it didn't really help as much as I wanted. I think you need to use a larger thing to interlock them. Because once I get this thing nailed down, then I'll build it. We'll build a nice long one. And from that, can then build a warehouse-looking thing around it with then setting up sensors to move the whatever we're constructing along it and stop it at the right points. Thanks, Taliesin True Strike. I'm not sure what you mean by wheel suspensions instead of the pistons, Serenut. The pistons are needed here because you need to tension out the chain once you've built it. If I was good enough at building these, I could probably figure out how many chain links I needed to have the right level of tension, but haven't built many of these things before, so don't have quite that level of experience yet. And yes, Captain Cranky, the scientist was so busy finding out whether he could that he did not stop to consider whether he should. Ah. You could be right. That the lifting is because of the shape of the round bits. Huh. Alright. I don't think there's any easy way for me to change that here. So... Oh, hold up. We could potentially test to see if that's the reason by building a free rolling one that's a bit higher up, that's perfectly round, and see if that stops it from happening. How am I going to get something stuck in there that's going to be able to lift up? Let's just get rid of this chain that's on the ground. I'll get rid of this one that's on the ground over here. What I need to do is kind of need to push something in here that will then lift up and have it at both ends. If I build off a piston here, and then have another piston on top of it that's going to push inward. That's too far. And go with a wheel like this. Maybe once I stick those... Oh, that's going to be too high. Dang it. I got to rebuild that whole thing. If I stick these wheels in, maybe that'll test to see whether this will be smooth without me having to rebuild the whole thing with a new setup. Thanks, Mavelite. You're very welcome. Actually, the new pillars might be an option. I think the collision of the wheels is the same as the pillars, but the pillars might look nicer anyway. So that's not a bad thought. Which are under the interior block, I think. Yeah. Can try those out, and we can pop this thing out, pop it back in with different blocks as we test. And because I've got the rotors on there, we'll be able to test some small grid stuff in there too. Part of the issue, I think, is going to be the chain itself being slightly longer bits. So the wider the rollers are at the end, the less wobble I should get as well. Is that about right? A little bit further in. Okay, so we want you off, you off. Then we'll just lift it up until it's tensioned across those two. It's also a shorter bridge here, so that's going to be a bit funny, but as long as we see less bounce up and down in the middle, that should give us the results we're after. I was planning on trying to get this enclosed. Not leaving it open to see the chain. At least for the screenshot. Still wobbles a bit, doesn't it? Maybe that's all just being transmitted, though. Is that a bad thing, though? How does this feel to ride on? Doesn't feel too bad riding on it. When war calls, Clang answers. Yeah, Rumbles 2, I had thought about using this as a way to make a tank track, but to be honest, using the new mag blocks, to be honest, I think the better option if you want to turn this into a tank track is to do this and build a tread that has wheels poking out like this, because then you can apply friction with them and you can adjust the friction settings of your tank track. You can just probably set them pretty high and the ends of these wheels will catch and provide friction. It'll be a bit more challenging to make a good looking tank tread, but I think this is the best way to do it so that you end up with a tank that doesn't require heavy scripting in order to disconnect the mag lock plates as the tread rolls around. A wheel suspension stuck in here, I guess, could work. Can give it a go. If we just pull this back. It would provide, I guess, a bit of spring to it. If I drop this down again. And then replace these with a small head. Should be able to get a 5x5 on there. And turn you on so you're locked. And I should have turned you on. So I guess the kind of, because I want it to be a big enough wheel here, it needs to be a 5x5. But I wonder whether this will just kind of smooth it out as opposed to completely flatten it off. Yeah, I think you're right, Giannis. I think the issue is the length of the chain pieces in contact with the rollers. So if the rollers were bigger, as in a larger circle, then the length of the chain segments shouldn't be as much of an issue. You know, those wheels are barely wide enough. Oh, we'll give it a go. Oh, I should have put these upside down. They're the wrong way around. I should have had them pushing upward instead of pushing downward. Such a force of habit. So I need to be pushing it up. But yeah, this is why I thought I'd do this on stream, because I figured you guys had come up with some ideas that I might not have immediately thought of or have tried on my own. That's a bit concerning, that the wheels are clipping into that. Okay, it's running on the wheels. Let's turn you on. Yeah, it's the rollers, isn't it? You can tell as the roller hits, it's kind of rhythmic. As the chain lengths hit the roller, it just kind of goes a bit funny. The chain segments do need to be this long. think. Alright. The last idea I have is going to require a complete rebuild. So let's do that. I want to see if it'll work better if these roller blocks, instead of being made out of blocks, if I make them out of a 3x3 large grid wheel. Or maybe even a 5x5. Because they're big and well-rounded. And much more smoothly rounded than a small grid thing made out of armor blocks. They won't be as pretty, though. No, 1x1 is the same. Is actually smaller than what I've built here, Drakur. 1x1 won't work. It has to be at least 3x3 to gain anything with the chain links. Because I think the issue is, you can see that the edge of this link here is just a little bit off the metal, and then as it spins round, it kind of judders up and down against where it's attached. The larger the circle, the less that judder will be. In theory. But I think it'll still have some judder. I suppose the other argument is the... Oh. Is the judder even a problem? The trouble with something this big is how am I going to hide this in a factory setting so that you can't see these giant, ridiculous wheels? Yeah, Phantom Drake. I tried spoked, but it would require a lot of fiddling or some mathematics to figure out where the spokes would need to be to fit within these chain links and pull them around. The trouble is, I couldn't easily figure that out, and I would have needed to mess around too much, and I went, eh. Eisen, I want to hide them because they're giant, and I kind of... Everything else is going to be small grid in the like, around the construction bit, so it makes... It just feels weird to me to have these giant large grid wheels, even if they are ground down. Like, I know that's going to look a little bit better, but it's still not great. Yes, you could theoretically use this for a tank track, but tank tracks in Space Engineers don't work well because armor blocks don't have friction. Or enough friction. Just trying to think about what I could do. What I could do with the chain design. Like, what if that went out to there, and that goes out to there? Am I even going to be able to ever place a block in there? That's the other question. Well, maybe on these ones I'll be able to get away with it. Oh wait, that should be there if I'm going to do that. Yeah, no, there. Let's see. I'll make a couple of these. Let's see what happens. Don't know if I'm going to be able to place this piece on. Wait, that's on the wrong block. As you can tell, building this thing is going to be challenging. If I want it to interlock like this. Is that going to give me enough room to place the next one? Quite. So in theory, as it comes over this roller, I should be able to place the other pieces for that to lock. Let's just see what happens if it actually makes it around. The idea, I guess, of what I'm trying here is to see if the chain will just support itself. So it's a rigid chain drive sort of thing. Yeah, the whole chain wobbles up and down as it clinks over stuff. And those are going to clink even worse. Because they pop out. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Blast doors wouldn't achieve what I want to achieve. So that's why I'm not using blast doors. I mentioned earlier, the reason I'm using the slabs is I want this effect where when they push against each other, they actually push against each other and just sit level. Blast door blocks wouldn't do that. I'm just trying to get rid of the wobble so that I can use this as a conveyor. Like an actual cargo conveyor in a factory setup. I guess the other thing... Well, let's try something else. I bring this back. Rather than fighting stuff that's likely just going to be an ongoing issue through tensioning and fiddling around with that, what if I put more wheels down? What if I just support this on, say, a whole bunch of 3x3 wheels? I just have it supported the whole way. And just to make it... So these don't need friction. See what these look like with this build state. So we'll drop that down. That should do. Although the 3x3s are quite narrow, that might be an issue. Might have been better off sticking with the 5x5s. That looks about right in this, close enough to the center anyway. That's now supported. Ah, that's an unforeseen issue. The end wheels are being pushed down more than the middle one, so it's bowing over the top. Yeah, I suppose I could reduce the chain segment length to 2 if I get rid of that row on each chain and that block. So it'd be a solid hinge, solid hinge. And that way the chain segments would be shorter. If I expand the... If I push the rollers out further, it starts clanging because you're putting tension stress on the hinges. And they don't like that. They don't like that at all. Alright, let me show you guys how I built this. I'll build a fresh one, and we'll try and do a shorter chain length segment. Might just give myself a few more options in terms of moving it around once I've built it, though. Start with a piston. Block. Piston and piston. I guess the downside, one of the downsides of putting more chain segments, as in making them shorter, is then you've got more hinges, which can be a bad thing. And yeah, I guess I could try turning off all of those wheel suspensions. Giving them no strength. And lifting it up a bit higher, then it'd be like a static thing instead of using any of the suspension strength. Alright, let's turn this on and see. Yeah, still the same issue. I think you guys in chat are right. We got to look at the chain link itself and the roller. So, if I want to do this, what if I do try it with a 3x3 roller and the shorter chain link? The block I want on that one. Oh, hang on, I'll need to get rid of that middle piece, making this build a bit easier. Yeah. Kalzorak, most of the reason why large grids will sink into voxels is you have too many objects around in the area, and Space Engineers is failing to detect the collisions between your large grid and the voxels. Large grid rovers suffer from it a lot. There we go. Make these look a little less like drive wheels and a bit more like some sort of thing that should be driving a chain. So now, so that I can get to small grid and have it nicely supported where I want it, let's pop a rotor in here. Lock on. Add small head. Now this is going to be a bit weird. Yep, the more complex the grid, the more likely you are to sink in the ground. That's my experience of it anyway. Just separating the grids in case I need to control something. Makes it a lot easier. Oh, I might want to put something on the inside, but I can't. Wait, what if I do this? It's nice and narrow. Just don't want the chain slipping off inwardly. Weirdly, it always seems to want to push out, not in my tests before, but just in case. Yeah, I've only had the syncing issue in multiplayer as well. Is that true? Yeah, I guess so. Although, wrong way down, I think we got a syncing issue at one time or another. That was technically multiplayer, but it was locally hosted. Alright, that'll do. So, now we build the chain. So it's going to be block, hinge, block, and hinge all the way. Now, I've not found any way to get these things to paste segments on. With the way it all kind of wobbles a bit and it's all a bit awkward, I found that the only way to build these chains is to actually build every single piece. I was trying to copy-paste segments previously, and they just would not connect, which was unfortunate because it makes the build of such things quite tedious. Whoops, that's not where I want that. No, that's not where I wanted to delete that either. And so you can imagine how long the other several chains I built took me to put together. Come on. Place. Dang it. Missed it wrong. And we're about halfway there, I think. Nope, wrong way. Go down. And I'll... As long as I keep turning it on... as long as I keep grabbing the hinges and periodically turning on share inertia tensor for all of them, they should keep supporting themselves. And not wobbling so much. Which makes adding the extra segments a lot easier. It does look really small for these drivers, but remember, if I'm planning on building something on top of this conveyor belt, this could well end up with two of these, like the final design may end up with two of these chain pieces set the full width, and then having a nice wide platform on top so that I can then have something bigger being moved along by this conveyor belt. To try and get that feeling of, you know, it's moving something heavy, built for war, that sort of concept. And I already have an idea of how I could use sensors to periodically stop the chain in the right spot. Because if I've got it set up so that I've got sensors that'll pick up the thing that's being built on top of it, it'll periodically turn it on and off so that they'll stop in the right spot for getting the extra parts attached to them. Come on, get on there. This is not a build I would ever recommend anyone attempt in survival. You're just asking to destroy your save, basically. It's just going to be too hard for the game to keep up with this, plus everything else that you might want to have in your world in a survival world. Whereas creative mode doesn't really matter because I'll just have this and not much else. Draco, I don't think that'll help. I was having so many issues getting these things to paste the other day when I was testing this that it actually ended up being quicker just to do this. Oh. And now it's too weak to lift itself up. Have you ever tried pasting a grid onto a subgrid of something? It is fiddly at best and downright frustrating at worst. That's why I'm not doing it. I have to increase my torque on these hinges so they can support themselves properly. Almost there, though. Got some good slack in this one. So we'll be able to get a nice long length. Nope, that would be a piston. That is not a hinge. Yeah, this thing is, I guess, a little sketchy. It's fine, though. It'll work. It is times like this, though, that I wish I had the patience of someone like Black Armor, who, with the way that he builds stuff. So I think he's built things like this a lot more than I have. Just a hinge apart. Get rid of the part. Let's drop it down. Oof. I'm so unaccustomed to a sensitive jetpack at the moment. And attach. There we are. We have our hinges ready. It'll either work or generate enough phantom force to launch this whole platform faster than the jump drive. I haven't had that happen yet in this world. I'll be honest. So the next thing to add to all the chain links is to make them a bit wider. Because I want a nice, stable base. And then I need to add the raised part that that kind of rests up against the next piece, so that it supports itself against gravity. Oh, Tex, I reckon you'd be able to do this. You could totally try and build one of these in Vanguard. I'm sure Wasted wouldn't mind. At least until the server speed completely died. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Don't ever try and build something like this on a dedicated server. You're just asking to kill the performance for everybody else playing. That's kind of not cool. Because every single physics interaction that's got to happen between the links in these chains is a whole lot of processing. I think the clanging noises on the other one, and it'll probably still happen on this one, but I think the clanging noises on the other ones were coming from these, so you can actually see it here. This piece is kind of just barely sitting on the edge of a block, and as it gets pulled more horizontally, it then clangs against the next part of the roller. So it ends up making a clanging noise as it goes around. Might just add these on the other side. I know this is a slow process, but if the result works, it'll be totally worth it. Because I thought it'd be the coolest looking mechanism for moving something around in a factory. Could build one of those. Could build like a door at each end of it that just clears it, so you can only see the section of construction that's happening. And imply more of a factory without actually having to build it. Symmetry mode wouldn't help here because you'd have to set up symmetry for every single subgrid, which would take longer than just placing down the blocks. It is one of the reasons why things like this are tedious. There just aren't many ways to make the build more efficient. Yeah, Tex, that's actually another idea I wanted to do with this, is build something like this, but with ore carts full of like stone or, you know, some more probably interesting looking ore in them, and have them brought, like, carried along on a train and then tipped off into a collector. That physically moving things is kind of something that, if I can get a system like this working reliably, could be done. Yeah, exactly. Ejector on one end, collector on the other, and have all running along the belt. You could, like, instead of, once you've got the belt built, every, say, 5th segment, you could build something that looks like a carrier. Right, what did I do with the other chain that worked? Raised it up and then built. So, for this to lock against the other piece, just raise them straight like that. So I can just do this for each segment. And then on each of the, maybe the rearward part. Have these. Ah! I hate it when that happens. So that'll give a nice flat surface, hopefully. Oh man. Oh, that could actually work. What's this conveyor going to be building? It's going to be building Capac clones, right? I could do a gag one of these with a with it building a Capactron. Or several Capactrons. Or something that looks vaguely like them. It could actually be pretty funny. That's kind of one of the things I like about this idea. Even if I don't get this finished in time for the screenshot comp, I'll be able to get this and use it for waiting screens for my streams and other things like that that I'd like to have some more animated stuff for. And I will admit, enjoy the slight confusion of people turning up to my streams for other games and then seeing my wait screens are all in Space Engineers. You wonder if sloped blocks would be better. So the gap, I want something that has a vertical surface on it. So this little join between these two grids needs to have a flat surface because that's going to prevent any flexing inward of the chain. And that's what it's trying to stop. It's trying to stop. Because I don't want the chain to be able to flex downward. So the chain should resist gravity, but then when it's running along the top surface, but it can bow with gravity along the lower surface. That's why this needs to be a square edge. I could use, I could have used these blocks on the back edge, which might look nicer, I guess. But I wanted something to give a little bit of clearance over the hinge as well. So that's why I didn't use full blocks. Yeah, I could easily use these. Too many years of playing Space Engineers has made me do things that maybe aren't required anymore, but I always like to try and create as much space around hinges and rotors and pistons as I can, because that usually means they're safer. And thanks, Psychonaut, for the Prime sub. Yeah, could be used for moving targets in carnival games. Yes. Yes, this could. Capac and I met in high school. We've been friends since we were that young. I don't know why it's making me rotate them all now. It's weird. It was just those few ones I placed the hinge the other way around or something. Alright, this is almost enough to give this a test. I just need enough chain done that it'll stay with the correct pieces for long enough before it goes back to the ones that'll flop. Capac and I became, like, we'd known each other before this, but we weren't close friends. We became good friends when we were not doing what we were not doing what we were supposed to during woodwork. Instead of being inside the classroom actually doing stuff, we were outside just lazing about talking. The teacher never did anything about it. Which in the end probably worked out for me at least, because having teachers that didn't harass you to get your work done, you learnt that if you didn't do it yourself, no one was going to make you do it. Alright. Let's get this end. I'll get those ones done and that should be enough to give this a test. Oh, that one's not going to let me, is it? Or that one, or any of these because that's bowing inward. Right. Make this arc around a little bit. Oh, actually, let's just drop this off. Let's drop this on the thing. Blam. There we are. Okay, that doesn't look right. That looks real bad. We need to do something about that. This might be an issue with the shorter chain segment, possibly. The other issue that could be causing what we're seeing here is the fact that the majority of these have shear inertia tensor on. And it's not going to like that. There we go, that looks a bit more right. What taut is that? That's pretty tight. Okay, you off. And let's see what happens when we turn this on. Until it gets all of... Yeah, it's still doing the bouncing up and down, isn't it? But that might be... Not sure. If I slow this down, I might be able to place the bits as I go, as it spins around past me. We can try and finish this chain, because I think it might need to have the rest of these blocks done. This to work. Whoops. I can go a bit faster. I can build faster than this. Doo-doo. Keep missing pieces. Alright. The slightly trickier one. This is actually how I built some of the previous chain. I just started it up and just had it bring the segments to me, and then as it rolls over the wheel, because it opens the parts out, it becomes much easier to place everything. Yeah. Let me get all these bits. Oh. Yeah. Forgot I left weather on in this save. I've got damage turned off in this world, so I can slide this across whatever I wanted. Which is actually a good point. If I just ignore the wobble being a thing and just put a flat surface and just have it slide along a flat surface instead. Maybe I should just go that way, because this is a creative mode world. This is not going to be something that I'm going to use in survival, so I don't need to worry about whether it works with damage on or off. It just needs to work. So I could just have it sliding across something. In fact, if the thing it's sliding across is a subgrid, then it should work. It shouldn't cause damage anyway. Is that everything? All done? Looks it. I think I might have the tension a bit high. Huh. Oh yeah, the chain is a separate grid, isn't it? It's not subgrid anymore. So there isn't a way to make it a subgrid. I gotta say though, I kind of like the look of those rollers. Not sure whether I like this more than this. What do you guys reckon? Since I'm still getting the wobble, should I keep with this smaller chain segment that does seem to bow a bit more? Or should I go with this larger chain segment? Which can at least be made with some apparent symmetry. You want full speed? I'll show you full speed. That's full speed. That looks ridiculously smooth. Oh, wow. That's amazing. And remember, all of the power for this is coming from the one end. That just looks... Wow. And yeah, you can see the sparks coming off it with it sliding outward on the rotor. Capac running on this is a screensaver. Oh, imagine... this is probably too fast. I need to slow this down. Let's see if I can get this to about the speed where I would run it. I'm gonna guess that's about 15 RPM, maybe somewhere around here. Let's see. Okay, and... Oh, here we go. Capac doing hurdles. Run, run, run. I can't believe I got the speeds almost right. I'm about to run off the edge though. You could actually make a bit of a fun gladiator, like that American Gladiator style thing out of this. This is ridiculously smooth. So I'm guessing... I think I like this design the best. I actually quite like this with the rotor in the middle, because it looks more like a drive shaft, like end cap, than that does. I wonder whether an advanced rotor looks better. Whether a regular rotor looks better. Which do you guys reckon looks better? The one on the right or the one on the left? Because they are subtly different. And if you look at them from the side... Oh, it's... Both have... You can see the angles on both. Hang on. Let's make this easier. This is Twitch. I can do a poll. Which rotor? Left. Basic. Right. Advanced. Okay. Much easier. Just use the poll. Yeah, you could put a spinner on the wheel, so on the center rotor, spinning the exact opposite space. No meat shield votes this time. This is a better thing to have as just... Oh, it's... Just one vote per person. 34 to 24 the votes are, and it's about to end. Seems most people like the... More people like the basic rotor. Which I can kind of see why. Like, this has the larger central portion. And this one has the smaller one. Which adds a bit more detail and looks a bit more interesting, I think. There's my rotor. There we go. It's not falling off. It's been running at a reasonably high speed for a while. Okay, so next thing. How do I get something in there that's going to that this will slide onto nicely so it can create a perfectly flat surface to move on? Because I think this sort of conveyor would be great for a mining facility, something with buckets on it getting pulled along, because they wouldn't need to be so specific. But for a manufacturing facility, you really need to have it sitting perfectly still and level. Yeah, I guess round blocks on the end could work. That's a good point. So let's do the same sort of thing I did with the pushing in the things from the previous setup. This one's fortunately a little bit wider, so we'll have a bit more space to play with. Oh, hear that clanging. So it'll just be a round block here. And a round block here. Wow, I'm going to have to make this chain really big to make this work as a manufacturing facility thing. Because that's a very short segment. Ah. Oh, Yanis. That is such a good thought. If I set the hinges up with limits, they won't be able to sag. Because it doesn't need to go inward. I think that could work. I was thinking too much in real-world physics and not enough in space engineers physics. Let's just do this first before. Changing this many limits at once, this whole thing could explode. Although, is it going to be enough, or are they going to push past the limits anyway? Which it looks like they are going to. Ever so slightly. Oh, no, wait. Huh? No, they're all the same way. If you look, you can see those two little markers. They're all the same way. I was actually somewhat careful to do that. Because it does make modifying the entire chain a lot simpler. Like you can see, they're all correct. Oh, except for that one. Although that seems right. Okay, I'm confused. They're all different. Now! Dang it, I'd been careful, and I must have just messed up a couple. So for most of them, they should be... So I think for most of them it should have been the other way around. Let's see if this is going to explode. And then you need to go this way. This needs to go to there. So anywhere the markers are out toward the inner side of the circle. Wait. Is there only that one? Outer, outer, outer. I think there's literally only that one. Which probably is where I joined the chain. Now, as you can see, it is still sagging. Even with that limitation. I think I just saw lightning. So I don't think the limit's gonna work. I'd have to fiddle around with making it even smaller. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it hasn't really fixed anything. It's a good thought, though. Bentley, why do you think running it the other way would work? Suppose with the direction I've done the chain, it could make a difference. I'm just trying to think of what difference it would make. Oh wait, this should probably be wider. And that's about in the right position. Pulls the sag out instead of pushing in. I'll try it before I do that. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I almost need to put some braking torque on this one. That might be a bit much. Let's try 2000. So it has to kind of pull it through, which might reduce some of the sag. It's not bad. It's not going to be good enough, though. Let's give it a flat surface. That wobbles a bit. Oh, hold up. Let's give this some shared inertia tensor, so it doesn't jiggle as it's getting hit. That's pretty flat. Yeah, I suppose if I have... If instead of pushing it up so high, try and just barely support it, it might be a bit smoother. Like that. That looks pretty stable in the middle segment, with the occasional little pop. Okay, it doesn't actually make a difference having the rounded pieces. Would we be better off with a bunch of rollers? Set as close to each other as possible. It is pretty perfect for it, though. Oh, dang it. It's really hard to do sometimes. Pretty stable. I like that idea, Mike. Shift F10. That's kind of cool. Huh. Yeah, if I was going to put ore on it, like, this could easily be an ore conveyor. In fact, can anyone... I'm just going to quickly bring up Steam and go to the competition, because I can't remember what the categories were. Um, do. Categories. Maximum machinery, industrial automation, and vehicles of war. Expanding facilities. Efficient and advanced technological systems, eh? Hmm. Hmm. Just trying to think of whether an ore, like an ore conveyor belt, would fit. what I was imagining was setting up a scene where you've got some big factories, plenty of guns around it as well, so it does have the military feel. Maybe a few rotor-turret sort of contraptions set up so that they look sizable, and then have a series of these belts dropping ore onto each other, taking them up from a big open cut mine up to a processing facility on top of a hill sort of thing. I don't know that I'd be able to build that many of them in a reasonable time frame though. Because as you've seen how long it takes to build just one of these. Although this is testing, so it shouldn't take anywhere near as long to build extra ones. Weapon rearming, having ammo coming along here and just having this end just shooting out streams of ammunition. No, you can't copy-paste the belt around the rollers. What happens when you copy-paste these is, if you notice, I can't even... Oh, actually, maybe I can nowadays. You used not to be able to. Oh. I could make a really, really large belt in space and then just go... plonk. Oh, yeah, it could be because of the... no, I placed it over the piston's end, didn't I? Did I? Let's just see. I couldn't get this to paste before, but it could have been because it was too small. Yeah. Yeah, they've shrunk the way this works, so you can do this now. It'll obviously still need to be something where I can tension the roller wheels like I've done here, with pistons pushing them outward. But yeah, if I built this in 0G and made it just into a big rectangular box that's bigger than the wheels, that might be easier. That's an interesting thought, Lintrip. If I pushed this part out, would it be enough to stretch the top? In the real world, yes, it probably would be. In Space Engineers, I think the hinges would start getting unhappy with the increased tension. Go really big and make Frogger. Hey Laws, and no, I haven't seen that joke about my character name in the Baldur's Gate I've been playing with Capac. That's a good point, Eisen. I probably could if I'd built this from scratch. In fact, I might even be able to do it as is. Can this just be done like this? Well, that's not going to go well. Oof. That fell off at a good time. Okay, might have gotten rid of too much of it to begin with. But yeah, I could totally build this out just as a static grid. As part of the main core grid, which makes it a lot simpler. Because that's exactly the same height as that wheel. I don't think I'd be able to place any blocks in here though, because that's going to collide with the things that keep it on the roller. Does still work though. Oh yeah. I'm aware it won't if the wheels had to come in, but what I can do is I can build a temporary thing to lift the chain up, then I can build the static grid in the middle and then drop it back down, then pull the other thing out that's lifting the chain off it. But this would actually work a lot nicer because then I've got a perfectly flat, stable surface to work from. So, with that being a functional system, now I've got to test something for the other function of this. Which is, can I stop it easily? This is going to need some braking torque. And a sensor on here. I can probably put the sensor down there, can't I? So you. Left, right, bottom, top, back. Show on hard, info, show sensor field range. And detect players off, detect small ships on. And this rotor needs a name. Do. Actions. Drive rotor. Toggle off. Let's see how quickly this stops it. Where's that piece? There it is. It's almost there. That's pretty on the money. That's 25 centimeters after it triggered it. It's not bad. Not bad at all. So the idea I had in my mind was what I'd do is probably have either hinge parts or rotor parts mounted on some of the chain pieces. There'd be something that drops the lower part of the construction onto it and then it attaches, which then brings it along, and so then we can set up the sensors to pick up which part needs to be stopped. No, Zaxwatch. They wouldn't be. In Space Engineers, these blocks, these wheel blocks that are actually just blocks, they have the same durability, the same friction, the same everything as far as I can determine as armor. They just don't deform. You cannot think of them as anything other than armor. They're round armor, but they're still armor. The ones that are special are the ones that are on the end of a suspension block. they are a different block entirely. As you can tell, when you get rid of the suspension, they've got that pin. Those ones are near indestructible. So, using wheels as bumpers only works if you've got them on a suspension. And only works to increase... That's the only way to increase durability of something like this. So the really tricky thing, I think, about this setup will be setting up timers to trigger dropping something down, attaching, and then starting the chain up, moving it to the next section, stopping it, dropping the next bit, attaching the next part, so on and so on. Hey, thanks so much, TX Rider. There'll be videos of what happens if this all goes well, I'm sure. See, Duke, the reason I'm not planning on using magnetic plates for these hookups is hinge parts would ensure that the blocks are in the exact same spot each time, which will allow me to have other machinery to, say, imagine this is building a mech. This hinge could be under one of the feet, so it could be off to the side. It could be under one of the feet, and what we have is the first piece of machinery drops down the legs to the waist. Drops it on, it locks on. Then that moves along, it drops another one onto the next one, moves along. Then the next station, we have adding the torso on. And that could be, say, switching a projector on and having welders come in, weld it, move away, moves on. And then we have arms come down, they can come in from the side, clamp on. That was kind of the idea that I had. And for that to work, you can't use mag locks. It has to be in exactly the same position each time. Otherwise, each subgrid isn't going to attach properly. Yeah, exactly. Building an assembly line. That's exactly what I want to build. Except a moving assembly line made all of small grid and sensors and timers and ridiculousness. So yeah, that's the thought I had when I thought about making a large conveyor like this. Depends, Lintrip, depends. A larger portion goes to Twitch of whatever you do. Yeah, timing is going to suck, Phantom Drake. But that could be kind of fun. I think what I should work on now, before building any assembly line and stuff like that, is I need to build the things that are going to be... the thing that's going to be constructed on this conveyor line. Because once I've got that, then I'll have the segments that it has. And I think that'll be kind of cool to work from. Thanks, Duke Skyloafer. Yes, it should look intensely ridiculous. That is the goal. So, guess what I should do now is build... So what do you guys reckon? Do you reckon building some sort of rover is going to look better, or building some sort of mech? The mech doesn't need to function. It just needs to look like one. So I can build something that looks nice without actually being technically functional. I'll do a quick poll for that one, actually, because that seems like it should be a poll. Mech. Oh, that's caps is on. Mech or rover? Mech. Let's give you 2 minutes. And for this one, go nuts with your meat shields. There we go. Both will have to have subgrids because I want the parts to be fully constructed as they get added onto the conveyor line construction. And so I'm thinking, given this is a screenshot, and if you say we're using this field of view or a slightly more narrow one, it probably only needs to have 3, at most 4 construction stages that are on the conveyor line before it goes through a door that comes out into the rest of the factory. Because I think from a video of me putting stuff together for like a waiting video, that works, but also for a screenshot that should work too. And that's where I'll potentially avoid the scope creep. Geez, the votes are close. 104 to 94. I think mechs might be overused. Also, if you have a lot of trees in the background, a rover might work well for a meta. Yes. Yeah, the competition is accepting GIFs or videos, short videos. And that's kind of why I want this just to have a few construction stages, because you should be able to see all of it in one. Mech is a long way ahead. Now 151 to 104. Yep, looks like we have a mech winner. So let's do 2 things. Actually 3 things, because I forgot I had this one. So we've got our what I called Bradbury-tron from the Christmas... I think it was the Christmas stream I did with Wasted. Which is for a snowboarder for jumping off a ski jump. Then we've got Capactron. And then we got... I got my Splitsitron saved? Not sure I do. At least not separately. Oh no, I do. Here we go. We got that. I think I might build something new. Looking at these. This one worked out quite well for the ski jump. It's a lot more stable than I thought it was going to be. So whatever we build needs to work within the scale of this kind of conveyor. So this can go out to probably 9 blocks wide. I don't want it to be 10 because then it's just sitting a bit too close to this edge. And there's already enough clanging off this side. Alright. Let's start. It's going to be small grid. let's build in different color so it's easier to keep track of. That's true, the torso could be wider. I wouldn't want to make the torso wider than the tracks, though. I'd want it all to fit within this, because then it'll be easier to bring all the equipment in really nice and tight on it, and make it all feel industrial and cramped, not too spacious. CDs, there's nothing restricting me to having it this length. I'm going to make this chain much longer for the final version. I just didn't want to build a much longer one and, you know, as a test, because if it didn't play nice, I was going to have to rebuild it all. So, it's going to have to attach via a hinge. I think a hinge is better than a rotor because a hinge restricts angles even more. Shoulder-mounted gun? Yeah? Could build it. I'm not sure I'm going to build something crouched that then stands up. That seems hard, to put it mildly. Let's just start laying something out. That's... How wide did I make this platform? Oh, convenient. I actually made it the correct width. Oh yes, Cyrus. Some of it could be some of it could be merge block aligned too, couldn't it? Rather than. In fact, that might. Ooh. Actually, I don't know if that'll play nice with all the timer blocks. Or not. Have to test. Have to test. White blocks, I'm seeing a Mega Smurf. Oh dear. I need some inspiration for this. I'm just trying to think of what style I want to go for. Oh, hang on. Hang on. I wonder. Can I do a four-legged thing? What I'm thinking is... we have... say, on one of these pieces, have a hinge like that. Have that much, maybe, coming off, and then have a hinge part on the top, which actually means this thing's going to need a battery. So my idea would be this can stick upward. The body gets attached to it first. Then it comes along. Then the front legs get attached. Moves a bit further. Rear legs get attached. And once the rear legs are attached, the centerpiece comes out. So this stops it being attached to the body. Keeps moving along, and then the head gets attached, and then it's done. Yeah, Mike, I've watched Short Circuit so many times as a kid. I know exactly what you're talking about. I have a laser mounted on its shoulder. Agreed, Tex. The timing of the conveyor belt is going to be quite the challenge, but we've seen that it's impressively accurate with the sensor. So, if we're going to go with... No, Mike, I loved Short Circuit. That was one of my favourite movies growing up. Just going to try a couple of different designs and see whether anything sits right for me. This is the thing. I've not built mechs often, or really at all. It's all kind of new to me. In fact, to make a lot of this work, I'm going to need to have some of these legs constructed in multiple parts. Because if I want to have extra joints and stuff, they're not going to be projectable as a single piece. I guess the smart thing to do at this point would be build the thing with as many subgrids as I like, and then see which ones I can kind of cull for the final build. Yes, indeed. Hey, laser lips. Your mother was a snowblower. Hang on, let me... What did I do? Why did I not save that blueprint? Dang it. Or... Nope. I didn't save it yet. Kind of want that leaning forward a bit. Then go to that and another rotor. I really need to reorganize my hotbar because it's not the way I normally do things. So that was kind of... Actually, if I do it two-legged, there's so many segments to these legs. They're going to have to be constructed partially before they even come on board. Building a Johnny 5 out of Lego Technic Beats has always been on a never-to-be-completed to-do list. That does sound fun. Yeah, hinges might have been smarter here, actually. Wish I'd realised that before I got this far. Go away. Now if we go... hinge... hinge... then it needs to be rotor. It could still be a hinge, but I think it's better if the hip joint is a rotor. And I probably don't need it to be this wide. So, I'm kind of feeling like for this construction I just need to build something and keep building until it gets mostly completed, and then I should be able to iterate and make it progressively better. I don't know if that's right. Can't remember what the correct displacement is here. Yeah. The point... I can't remember how many zeros there are for this. I think it's 0088? No, that seems too far, maybe? Because I just pushed it back in. This is definitely not 0.08. That's too far. Wide robot bearing hips. Yes. Yes, they are wide robot bearing hips. But it means that I could fit a large battery on there if I wanted to. What I probably want would be a battery. And that, and then the top can just be gun. Could effectively be a rotor turret. Since this doesn't need to be functional, it doesn't have to have any piping anywhere. Where's my weapons? I realize that looks a bit off-balanced right now, but I can fix that, I'm sure. If I put... where is it? Come on, brain. There you are. Gotta have a hydrogen engine on there. I might come up with something better for the guns, but this gives a rough idea of what we're going to go for. And then, obviously, to make this look a bit more stable, we need to go forward. And then back. Nope, wrong way. Oh, now the knees are not happy. What if I increase my torque here? And here. And turn you off. And you off. Now we're not fighting against anything. And same with these rotors. There you go, now it looks a bit more stable. It is a bit of an Asimo stance, isn't it? What I could probably do with a design like this is actually drop that battery right down. So the battery sits between the hips. And that'll lower the whole thing down and make it look a bit more compact and right. And it'll bring the cockpit, like the chin of the cockpit would come down to this level then. It'd be 3 blocks lower. Or 2 blocks lower. It's a robot chicken. Yeah, it kind of is. Oh yeah. Guess you could put like the rocket launchers slung down a bit. The other thing you probably want to do is move them back a bit. Oh. Wow, they really don't have an attachment point there. Guess these plates are really handy. I don't know. I kind of liked them high. Hinge chain ammo belt for Gatling. Yeah, Dex. Whoa, Zach Squatch. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for the 10 gift subs. Hunchback of motor frame. Oh dear. I'm so glad I don't have to think about making this thing walk. Might just build another one. I kind of want to copy paste it. Maybe... I've got damage off, this will be fine. Copy. Jiggles. Alright, let's pop that off. Probably should have a battery to the base here. Dang it. Battery on the base, and then we pop this off. Because then what I was thinking I'd do is... that. Assuming that's not going to terribly clang. Obviously, the upshot of doing it this way, this is going to make it look a lot more compact. And this is kind of why I thought I'd iterate on this build rather than trying to build it all in one go. And you might attach now. And maybe if we're lucky, this will paste on. This brings me back to the issues I was having with trying to paste stuff onto the rotor chains. Yeah. Might be able to get rid of that, paste it onto the top of the advanced rotor. Not that it's a complex thing to build, actually. It's probably just quicker to do this way. And engine on the back, and then I'll put something along the top to make it a bit more interesting. That looks a little less bad. I guess I could try the cockpit a block lower. Yeah, that kind of works, actually. I kind of like it. As a basic, because I don't really need this mech to work. I just need it to look like it could. And then we go with, let's just try this. Yeah, how does that feel? I think that kind of works. Because it's about the rocket launchers that are at pretty close to the pilot's eye line. Hey, dear. Yeah, see? You can just see the rocket launcher off to my right. Kinda, DE. We'll see how far this build goes, but yeah, the idea behind this stream was fiddle around with a few things and see if I can come up with something that I'd like to submit for the screenshot comp, if I get this done in time as well. So that's always the other challenge. Kinda happy with that. I'm going to copy that, so I've got another one. That's probably worth greebling at this point and seeing if I can make it look interesting, and then picking some paint colors to make it not white. Just built it in white to make it stand out a bit more against everything else that I've built around here that's grey. Yeah, I may well run into issues making the mech legs attach. But I've got to try and come up with some design to start with and then improve from. More guns, lights, and hazard stripes on it. Yeah, hazard stripes might work for this. Does it get a chin turret? Oh, does that look a little too questionable? That does look a bit dubious down there. I think a rocket launchers kind of work better. If I did the hips as hinges, then yes, I probably could make it so that the legs are identical left to right, maybe. But I kind of like them being rotors. Yeah, I don't want to put too many guns on it because then it just looks a bit overdone. Gatling arms, shoulder rockets. So something mounted. Hang on. Up here, I guess, could work. No. Do I want that further back? Maybe. Yeah, kind of like the Splitzitron had. The shoulder-mounted rocket launchers. Yeah, I guess it could go the Aliens Power Loader style thing. Dex? This would be Warmax track. Have it asymmetrical to one side above the head. Yeah, I'm not sold on what I'm doing with these adding extra things. I think it looks nicer just being that. The more guns I seem to add to it, the more it looks overdone to me. I don't know. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. But yeah, I guess I could try and see if I can make a Gatling on one side, rocket on the other. Like, if I was making this thing to actually fight stuff, yes, I would totally go and add double, but then it just looks lopsided. Not in a good asymmetrical way, in a bad asymmetrical way, to me. And yeah, the only other spot that I thought the gun kind of worked was up there. But it still seemed weird. I might just go with Gatling and rocket launcher like this. No bigger one. This is how I kind of wanted it to be this sort of scale. Although if I have trouble greebling it, I might have to make it a bit bigger. So, in theory, if I do this, where's the gyro? So if I stick a gyro on here, actually, if I stuck, yeah, if I just stick a gyro on here, I'll be able to show you guys. This does have the ability to sort of aim in all directions with the arms, because you can rotate around. And then the arms would give you the pitch aiming, but obviously you could also get a bit of that from your hips. Let's turn that back on. It's all in the hips. Yeah, I'm totally... This is 100% just for looks. I'm not trying to make a functional mech at all here. It just needs to look enough functional to pass for a short video or a screenshot. And that's it. Nothing more than that needs to be achieved. Does it look better with the fat or the thinner? The thinner kind of works. What to do with the lower leg though? Yeah, SE loading screen functional. That's exactly the right way to put it. Stream weight screen functional. What to do to this battery? Yeah, getting the bodybuilder vibe. That's kind of what I was going for there. Oh, hold up. I need to remember that I have these blocks to use, which are going to potentially add a lot of detail that I'd like. Yeah. I really like how well that integrates into this cockpit. You could use that to give it toes. Yeah, you kind of could give it toe claws. Yeah, let's see how that looks. Just for silliness sake. Huh. Sort of works that way. It'd probably be better if it was the other way around. Maybe. Duke Nukem, this is deliberately 100% vanilla. Yeah, I think maybe it was better this way. Because they actually stuck out. I'm not sure the feet are going to stay stuck on the outside or if I'm going to make them sit in on this row and get rid of the outer row. No, it looks better if they're sitting outwards. It looks more stable. Because it obviously is more stable. I don't want to use the rounded on the heel because other than the hinge parts, this is all very blocky and kind of intentionally so. What else to do with this thing to make it look a bit more interesting? I think we might get something out of having maybe some conveyoring. No, that doesn't look right. Let's just move on to a new copy because I don't want to keep going with the same one and go, what have I done? Can't go back, can't undo. Vent on the Gatling. Let's see how that looks. Don't think I like this up the top actually. Do something else with it. That didn't. It sticks out a bit too much. Definitely going to use at least armor plate over the things. Hinge part on the Gatling could look like a round magazine. It could do. Although it does just end up making it look a bit lopsided. Nah. I like the idea, but I don't think it's going to work here because it's like a single block is enough to make this thing look really lopsided, not as opposed to fun, asymmetrical, because I kind of built it around a concept of symmetry. Yep, this is why they need to add small grid versions of the pipes. That would be great. I'd really like to have small grid versions of the pipes. There. No, it's too little. Oh, I kind of like that. That doesn't look too bad. Gives it a little bit of a style. Oh no, they're not cat ears. I wasn't thinking cat ears. Dang it. They do look like cat ears. Oh, why'd you have to go and ruin it? Oh. Dang it. It's unfortunate. You're all good, Master Maniac. I am just kidding. Actually, is that better if I... Yeah. Oof. Trying to make this thing actually constructed by a factory is going to be a tricky exercise. So maybe that'd be better if it wasn't slope, but instead that piece. Yeah, that looks better. And then I can actually, instead of having, I need the 2x1 base, right? I need the tip, right? Because then this can add some extra detail to that edge. Once I find the right pieces. This is kind of one of those points where it was probably advantageous to me to start messing around in creative on stream, because I've got heaps of ideas for what to use these plates for, but I haven't played around with them enough. Good luck with painting those panels. Ah, it'll be fine. No sombreros, Mike. No sombreros. Plates for the knees. I was trying to think of what I could do with this bit. I was thinking... like we could have... this. Because I think the plates, when they're stuck out on their own, can look quite flimsy. No bowler hats! No hats! Why is everyone obsessed with hats? I wonder if this is gonna work. Oh, hang on, not that block. This one. Then this one. Not sure that's better. I think the little bit that I added at the beginning is right, but I don't think this is right. Yeah, true, less can be more when it's not actually having to move much. I mean, if I was going to add something out to this... Oh, split CY. Why did I do that? Ah! Wait, did it autosave after that? Oh, please don't tell me it did. I'm going to have to go back to the menu. No, no whoops, crash, whoops. Yep. It autosaved as I deleted the block. You jerk! You jerk, you jerk, you jerk. I can't believe it. Bah! Arrgh. Oh, that's the ultimate troll. It was literally still falling. Ah. How rude. Oh, no! Why? I need to click back up. Such a force of habit. Ah! Hey, 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 hey. Backups. 1107. Load. Okay. Yep, definitely hashtag blame Capac. Somehow it's his fault. He's not even online. But surely. Yeah. Somehow Capac ruined it with Noita. Let's go copy. And paste. And I haven't done the plates on the side. And it's still got the cat ears. Delightful. Just delightful. I wonder if this looks better. Than what I had before with the plate. Is that too many ribby bits? Or would that be better in armor? Yeah, it does look more structural now. Does it look better like this? Or like this? Left side. I mean, left side. Right side. I mean, I can always do this to make the beams not quite so prominent. Well, actually, I think I like that the best. Yeah. Does look much nicer. And since we have the blocks, let's try this. What do you guys reckon about that last little adjustment? Right. I'm going to do that. I'd need to do this. I think these bits stick out a bit too far because you can kind of see them floating out the end there. So if I swap them out for that, it looks a bit more clean. They look alright at the back though. Oops. Yeah, it's starting to look a bit like military hardware now, I think. And this in front, I think. Hmm. There is no way to take it for a spin. Would need a lot of timer blocks and potentially some scripting to make legs like these work. One of the troubles... Yeah, I'd need... Because, like, even basic timers, it could possibly move really slowly and walk from leg to leg, but... Yeah, I don't think so. And then obviously once I've got armor that I'm happy with, I then need to paint this in a more military paint scheme. Something that fits the desired style a bit more. Needs lights. Yeah, I guess so. Actually, yeah, probably could use lights because then I could timer them, have them on as have them come on as part of the build sequence. Actually, that kind of works. That looks interesting. It is interesting having it sticking through that plate, though. Oh, yeah, I could lock the... That's a good idea. If I turn hinge lock on all these, if I accidentally drop the legs off, I'll at least be able to reattach. Something that I am thinking of for this particular construction use is I could get rid of this hinge And I could make the knee into just an armor thing. So this is just an L of armor. That way we've only got the hip joints, the ankle, the waist, and the shoulders. Does this come with a xenomorph to fight? Oh dear. Not yet. Kind of makes me want to do this. Do I get rid of the hinge? I like the hinge. We'll leave it for now. Just thinking about, still thinking about getting rid of the knee. And where is it? What's that? That works better than what I did before, doesn't it? There seem to be some select cases where the plates work, and then some other situations where they really, really don't. Like, I know they've got some thickness to them, but they often feel too thin to me to be used in a lot of situations. And I should probably try and put them on the inside too. Oh, that's not where I wanted that. Oh, deleted the wrong thing. Right. Oh wait. Ah, so fiddly. Yeah, that feels a bit better around the knee. Can we stop animate these mechs for a chorus line, song and dance number? Tex, you want to do the animation for me? Then sure. Sure we can. What to do around this battery? It feels real exposed. And I do wonder if I'm even going to be able to place blocks now that I've placed those bits on the legs there. You're off, I think. Yeah. Nope, this way. Alright, that makes it a bit easier. Not sure what the right thing to do is with this battery at all. Tried that, and then better with 2 rows of the... Yeah, in clear weather. It's either the beams surrounded by the plate or plate surrounded by beams. Tilt it forward and have a look. Doesn't quite work, does it? It almost looks better without it. Yeah, it did look a bit crowded, didn't it? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Not happy with that either. No, I'm not giving the robot a G-string. Yeah, agreed, Eisen. Below the battery looked clunky. I mean, yeah, I could move the spotlights down here, I guess. Especially if I went with traditional spots. But that kind of looks weird too. Is there something I can do with the plate? Alright, let's have a look at the heavy armored plate texture then. Does look a bit different. Huh. Maybe that'll be the way to go, and then when I paint it, I can put some different skin on it. Hey, thanks, Jackson. Thanks, man. Yeah, I think maybe this is just as much as it needs. The only other thing I was thinking is if you, instead of having these there, I probably shouldn't have deleted them, I probably should have just copied and pasted this. If I wanted to bring this out under the front of the cockpit. But I think it just might look a bit weird. Neon lights are not available in small grids, so there's no greebling options with those, unfortunately. Oh, that's a point. Do I attach anything underneath the base of the cockpit? Let's Instead of having the spots or even additional ones down here. And then go back to the plate. Maybe? Paint it red, turn it into a turkey waddle. No. The exhausts are small grid. I will probably add one to this at some point, I guess. It's troubling me, and it's frustrating. Not being able to get this to look how I want it to look. Hey, thanks PDW Packrat. I'm sure I will continue to enjoy Space Engineers for a long time. I'm rapidly getting close to 4,000 hours in the game. Oh yeah, I'll be able to make this better with the... Yeah. With the hazards and stuff like that. Yeah, once I start painting this, I'll be able to fix this part, I think. Karoth, I already bought Icarus, so I will be checking it out. I don't know if Capac will be able to, since the beta weekend is only a weekend and he's at work. I'm gonna talk to him on Friday and see if there's any time slot where the two of us could play. Because yes, I'm interested in looking at it. For those of you not aware, Icarus is a co-op survival game that's being made by the same guys that made Stationeers. I don't think I'm going to put... I don't think I'm going to be able to put anything on the side of the battery. I guess maybe what I could do... I can find the part that I want. Would be put something like here. Just put little hazard corners on it, but I think they look worse than having nothing. Oh, hang on. I got a better idea. Man, I wish that aligned. I really wish that texture actually lined up. I was thinking just do that. A little band in there. Keen, why? Why did your artist not make these textures line up? Doesn't make sense. I did it specifically to spite me. It feels like that. Feels like that. Like, they're not even the same size. They've just stretched the same texture over the two blocks, rather than creating a texture that gets culled for the smaller block. What? Okay, a little exhaust. uh... Yeah, it's running real rich. So, I feel like that's most of the greeble done. I think less is more at this point. The more I add, the more this is just gonna get a bit ridiculous. I might... Actually, I gotta fiddle with the arms a bit, because they're still a bit naff. Try the reactor smoke. Okay. That's the normal smoke, small, which has a bit more to it. A little bit big. Just a bit. That's the small reactor smoke. Oh, white, small smoke. Oh, that's going to be good for adding extra thing to it. I don't want to add a hat. How about a beret? No. No. No headwear. Yeah. What to do with this thing? I have to drop that off because I don't want that to be a plate. That block? Probably. Feels right. And then... Just trying to think of a way to have something kind of wrapping around. No, the toilet block does not function as a control seat. It's just a passenger seat. At least I'm pretty sure that's correct. What can I do? If the arms were a bit chunkier. Instead of this being... Oops. Just drop off. It's that, and then... Yeah. Get rid of that, put a full block in here. Then go that. See how this works. Just kind of thinking of ways to make this rocket launcher not quite so exposed. I'm not sure this is right. I'll give it a try. And then we'll see if I need to trim it down at all. Yeah, that's not right. The slope's wrong. Slope is totally wrong. If instead of that, we go with this. Then what I was thinking I could do is add these around the outside. Hey, I like doing cliffhangers from time to time. That's why it's gonna happen. It's too fun to resist sometimes. Cannot resist the temptation. Don't worry, I've already mostly edited the conclusion of last week's Escape from Purgatory. I will be finishing that edit after this stream. That could be a problem. Can't get that block in. How does that look anyway? Is that too chunky? Yeah, it is kind of looking a bit like a fencer, isn't it? From EDF. Guess if it's got the chunkiness, I need to do this as well, just to break up the flatness of those block textures. I certainly think that's a design that could work for something. I'm just not sure it works here. It does make the arm feel more robust though, you're right. I'm just trying to think of how to make it look better. I have an idea. Let's copy this before I do something that's actually gonna make me redo some work. That. And this. Then have that underneath. Yeah, this could work a bit better. I think this will be what I was aiming for. Because now that it's not stuck quite so close to the thing, I think it looks better. Hey, Lucas. Yeah, I guess it's the new generation of the Splitsy-tron. Some were saying earlier it's the Steve-tron, but I feel like it's more like if Reggie wanted to be a fencer in EDF. other advantage of doing it, setting it out another block, is that it's really easy to place the rest of those pieces. And I just got to figure out what to do at the back end. What do you guys reckon? Comparing that to that. Oh, I did this differently. Maybe these blocks need to be spun. Like that. Yeah, top and bottom. Thanks, Brimstone. Yeah, the one block connecting it does look a bit flimsy. That's easy to fix with what I was just changing up, though. So if I get rid of those and then put this in there. And then that becomes a vertical. That goes there. And then the other thing that needs to happen is... No, not gyro. It's not quite enough, is it? Thanks, Dogs. Not quite. Not sure how to make this better. I'll do the Gatling arm after I've done the rocket arm. I'm just working on one side first. Go flipping over. Why won't you let me paste things on rotors, game? It's so annoying. Grr. I think it's the leg that's in the way, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So if I put a block on there, I'm going to bring this back to a more normal displacement. I was thinking of trying to make it look like it was more hung off something. If I filled in that gap, would that help? That just looks like too much big flat armor now. Dang it. If I do this. Nope. That doesn't work either. This is just not working. Just not working. I think ideally what I'd need is this to come down further, but then it's going to run into the hips, so I can't actually drop it down any further than it already is. Bandolier, I had the 2x1 tips to tip before, but I suppose I had the higher piece there when I did that. Maybe I'll try that again, now that I've gotten rid of it. Or even this with... It's kind of what we had before, which now makes the whole shoulder hinge, shoulder bit look weak. Might be approaching this from the wrong angle. What about that? Now that it's got a bit more support on the body. I think that gives it a bit more apparent stability. The rotor could go higher up, but then I'm stuck with issues around trying to fill it in with the fact that I don't really want this thing to be much taller. Like, I think we're going to need a lot of... for the factory look that I'm thinking of, I feel like I don't want it to be any taller than it already is. I think this is the version I'm happiest with so far. Making it have a bit more bulk around the rotor to look a bit more supported. I think that adds a lot to it. Oh, I think I just put the wrong block down there. thinking what I could do with this block. Or this block to make it a bit more interesting to look at. Yeah. Would this be better? There's one of these blocks. No. No, it would not. Wait a second. Wait a second. What if I put one of these on here? Oops, not what I meant to press. And then have that mounted on there instead. I can't... If I move the launcher closer to the body, I then can't put anything around it, because then it's too close. It's kind of the... We're at that block limitation sort of point with this design. I think I need that set out further to get this to paste on. See you, Tex. Yeah, thanks, man. Happy creepling. No, I think I look. This looks more like what I wanted it to. So that looks more robust. That doesn't look robust at all. Kind of like them without arms at all. Yeah, I kind of do too. I don't know about... I just don't know how I feel about having the arm in that position. Kind of liked the low slung, kind of hung look. Rather than the over the shoulder look. Yeah, no, wrong block. So the reason I'm trying to use these beams, I'm using these beams so much, is they create some negative space that really adds that extra detail that you're often looking for in your build. That's what I'm usually using them for. Just leave that empty. With those on there. I'm missing one from here though. Needs to change back to that orientation. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with this one. Let's get rid of this one. Let's copy it. And then I need to replace the Gatling arm. With something that's going to look pretty much the same. Then it'll be painting. And then at some point trying to figure out how to assemble this in an assembly yard factory thing. Slightly terrifying prospect of fiddling with all those timers. Get that block. Actually, if I put that block in the bottom, do I need these ones up the top at all? Yeah, I know the feet will need to have some adjustment done to them. That's fine. That's easy. That or that. I think maybe I'll just replace the block in there with this piece instead of getting rid of those bits as well. Try and match both sides so it looks nice and balanced, and then we figure out how we're going to get the gun in. So maybe... I think it needs to be on that block. Yeah, this is kind of feeling right. This is... I'm happy with this now. This is working. It's got the right level of chunkiness to it to make it look robust. I think this is working. Oh, that's not the right block. I'm just going to do exactly the same as the other side and then see if I need to make any changes to make this side work right for the Gatling. I may bring the Gatling gun a block forward. Yeah, I didn't like the look of the hinge drum when I did it before. So that's why I haven't added it. It might work now that it's bigger, but it just didn't work on this design before. Yep, piping doesn't matter at all. This is just for looks. It's for the screenshot competition, so it doesn't need to have any function whatsoever. Just needs to look the part. Does that look better there, or if I bring it a block forward? I do like them more forward as well. I think this kind of works. Suitably beefy. An ejector in the back instead. I'll try that. Yeah, that does kind of work. I like that. Yeah. I think probably paint and then I'll try and figure out the feet when I'm ready to put this into a factory. Because the feet will be fairly simple. All the feet have to have is a hinge block or a merge block even. Like, I could just do this instead of having it... Oops, wrong block. Instead of having it attached to the ground with a hinge block, I could use a merge block like this. That's really easy done. Paint. Paint, paint, paint. Oh, I don't have the paint mod. Hang on. I want the painting tool. No, Javins, I mentioned earlier the magnetic pad won't work for what I'm planning here because the mech won't be in exactly the same spot every time, and it needs to be in exactly the same spot every time. Because I'm gonna have this assembled on the assembly line. Yeah, it just needs to be a bit different. A bit more. It has to be perfectly reproducible. Doop, 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 doop. Which is a pity because the magnetic pads would make it so much easier in some other ways. And also look nicer on the conveyor belt. Because they just look like the surface of it. I'm starting to wonder whether for a video of this, whether I just use the time blocks and do everything really, really slowly and then speed it up in post. Alright. So, quick poll. What color should this be? What dominant color? I was thinking of setting up this factory on Pertum, but it doesn't have to be. Should we be going like green sort of camo tones? So forest, green, desert yellows, kind of that sort of color, or should we go urban grey? Yeah. Obviously, the desert has the advantage of having the dusty camo, because we've got dust and rust. Forest has the advantage that we've got the mossy. And for urban, I guess, it's pretty much just comes down to battered and maybe a little bit of rusty. I'm starting to think I probably shouldn't have put this one with the extra points from the thingo, from the channel points. Currently, it is between desert and urban grey. I guess at some point I could try and do multiples, but I'll just do this. Whichever one you guys have picked, I'll do now. No, still very tight. 42 votes each. Okay, now we can watch as it comes to the end. Yeah, desert camo will be a bit... I'll be going that kind of... this sort of color. Oh. Oh, wow. Urban Grey won out right at the end. Okay. He Who Types contributed 11,750 channel points. Okay. So you... Let's get a couple of these so I don't have to repaint them all at once. Whoops. Didn't mean to fling it. So... where is it? Digital. Let's just see how this looks in the digital camo. Ah. Just thinking what I'm going to do as a base coat for it. That actually is one of the first things I've ever put digital camo on that I haven't immediately hated. Huh. This is... This is what digital camo was made for, isn't it? Yeah, that's true. Eisen Small Grid does take digital much better, because it's much smaller. For this one, let's try doing a base coat of... Oops. About base coat of battered. I think I like the digital camo more, but maybe I start with the base coat of battered and then we pick certain plates to get the digital camo treatment. Let's get myself clear. Alrighty, skin. Oops. Eventually my computer's going to catch up to where I'm actually done painting. Really struggles Space Engineers sometimes to load the textures. Okay, I appear to be painting the ones on the other side of that. There we go. No, give me the... There we go. Yeah, rust on the toes, something different on the feet would, I think, be a good idea. Good idea. In fact, I think this is going to be mostly digital for the... Oh no, wrong! Dang it! Forgot that it changes it. Back when I go back to regular painting. Then grab that. I want to paint the rotor and the battered. So which other bits of this should get the digital camo treatment? I guess this bit probably should. The calf, for want of a better term. It's just that Space Engineers doesn't keep these textures in memory every time. Well, I don't understand why my PC CPU fan spins up hard every time I try and place a new one down. Oh yeah, I could put hazard orange plates on the edge of the feet. Hazard... It's kind of more hazard yellow, isn't it? That's it. I mean, I know it... So these shouldn't have rusty bit on the feet because they are on an assembly line. They are just being built right now. But it might still end up that way. So it should look fresh off the assembly line, as in as fresh as it can ever look. Wonder if there is an angle where I can get that to work. Replaceable. If I tilt it back further, it probably can. Yeah. Ah, no. Wrong way. Ah. You know, the feet might look nicer, symmetrical, but then I don't know what to do about the toes, because we don't have beam blocks that would work for that. That's exactly the point, Father Prax. It's supposed to be assembled, not... and it's got subgrids. You can't build it by projector anyway. Am I missing some chassis blocks on the gun side? I'm missing some blocks that I should probably put onto here. That's for sure. Where else gets digital? Ooh, not the beam blocks. Okay. So the beam blocks need to be undigitaled, and then everything else can be digital, I think. Beam blocks need to be battered. Looks just way too busy on the beam blocks. Whoa, Karath! Thank you so much! Crazy generous, man. Thank you. Glad I was able to help you out through lockdown. Oh no! Oh no. That's not what I wanted. Maybe I should be doing this with the painting tool. It's not always the best option anymore because of the challenge it has getting hold of the plates. Might not be the right colour for those gyroscopes now that I've painted them. I think it's a bit too dark. What do you guys reckon so far? It's pretty basic. I mean, that's the trouble with camouflage. You're going to lose a lot of the detail because you're not trying to show off stuff. Yeah, the back's not armoured, but that's kind of how it's going to be. I'm okay with the back not being armoured. Since again, not functional. This is just for show. Kind of like when I'm building all my stuff for a set of cargo ships. It's all just for show. Yeah, carbon fiber could be an option. That's not right. That's the color I want. I should redo the back of this to match the front. Yeah, might need some black or some lighter grey. Something more toward white. I think having a few more bits of heavy plate in Hazard might work as well too. So I think it actually looks better in heavy plate on this thing. Because you get the extra rivet holes. Whereas this is quite smooth. I was thinking maybe a piece in here. To the toes in chrome. Alright, let's just have a look. Fine. Retro is probably going to be the most chromy. Oh. Not brown chrome. Actually. Yeah, retro is probably shinier than silver. There we go. There's some shiny chrome toenails. Might need to be in black for the effect to carry. Nope. White. Witness them, all shiny and chrome. In this instance, does silver look better than chrome? Golden silver. Maybe. It's a bit more reflect. I don't know. I think Retro Future has more texture to it. Just realised I missed some blocks. Am I going to be able to place that if I move this up? I hope so. Good, good. Ha! Yeah, right. Mech building tutorial. I don't think so. I am not a mech builder. This is this is probably the first real-ish kind of mech-ish looking thing I've properly built. But cool. I'm happy with that. I'm going to show you guys one more thing before I wrap up this stream. That is totally unrelated, but it's kind of random and fun if I can find it. Save changes. Yes. Because I should be able to next time start actually building the set, because we got the two key parts, and then it's about building the set and making sure the assembly process can work and then making it all styled. Yeah, I'd say Black Armor is one of the better people for getting advice on mechs. He seems to have the patience for it. Is it in this world? No. This one? Maybe. This is one where I was testing some crane stuff as well, but I've got something that I want to show you guys. Oh yeah, that's true, Lohan. He did do that. And he's done the mech assembly facility thing before as well. This thing's more about my build here. The thing that I'm doing differently is having the moving conveyor line. Oh, something exploded. Where is it? Is this the one that was mostly working? Maybe. I haven't greebled this yet. But... oh, I think I just did something bad. Oh dear. This was working. Oh yeah, here we go. This is the length I went to in starting to build a Kapaka that actually moves. I just need to greeble the head, the legs, and the tail. But this took me forever, and this thing is clunky as. That's why I don't plan to make a mech that can walk. Don't tell Capac I made this. When I eventually get around to greebling it, I will surprise him with it in something. But yeah, this is how long it takes. So I was trying to make it move like an actual crocodile, so the tail actually flicks back and forth, as you can see. And the body moves too. It's got a hinge in the middle. And the head swivels from side to side too. So yeah, that's how much I can do of these things. So no walking mechs for me. Because you can see in the background all the trials. I will be back on Friday with some more Avorian with Capac right here on Twitch. And back on Monday over on the Flipsy channel with some more 7 Days to Die. There'll be an Escape from Purgatory tonight. This is all that and plenty more to come. I'll see you all then. Thanks for coming.